Have you ever been scared of your morning alarm clock? Like, nah, seriously, you hear that specific alarm at any other time of the day but the morning and you jump. The idea of having to roll out of bed to go to work scares you every morning. Now, what would life mean if you never had an alarm clock? If Monday mornings was the same as a Saturday morning? If you didn't need to actually work in order to live your life? For some people, this is what is called financial freedom. Some think financial freedom is the ability to sip cocktails on a beach in Miami, whereas some others think financial freedom is simply not having to rely on a paycheck to live. My friends, you've found yourself watching the Money Playbook, where our aim is to help the younger generations learn about the huge world of money. If the world of money and finances excites you, or you'd love to be rich and successful, make sure you subscribe and destroy that like button. I myself would define financial freedom as the ability to live life on your own terms, not having to go to work in order to make the money to survive. The ability to just go overseas or holiday whenever you would like. It sounds good, doesn't it? So this is how I would see financial freedom, just never having to basically worry about money. However, there is actually no set definition for financial freedom. The definition of financial freedom differs from person to person. The only common that you could draw between people's definition is that financial freedom is the overall less stress and concern that you have over your money. A quote, however, from Chris Brogan says, "The goal isn't more money, the goal is living life on your own terms." And I believe that this is one of the most important quotes to remember when you think about trying to achieve financial freedom. Your aim is not to get unlimited money so you can retire. It is to build income streams, which we'll get into that later, that cover your expenses so that you can live the life on your own terms. Now, this is all well and good to say, hell yeah, I want financial freedom. But let's see what it really takes. It's not easy. I mean, look around. How many of your mates would say they want this, but they don't have it? Exactly. There is obviously some hurdles. So, how do you start financial freedom? Or how do you start your journey to financial freedom? Now, this question is not as easy to answer because there is no set definition for the term financial freedom, meaning everyone's end goal is different. There is, however, a basic process that can get everyone on their journey, and depending on everyone's end goal, will decide to what extent you follow this process. It sounds good? Well, sweet, let's get into it. So your path to financial freedom involves first getting control over your money, understanding and learning the financial world, and then investing to achieve your end goal. In saying this though, I am assuming that you have some sort of income. So, your first step is getting a grip on your finances. It's time to study yourself. For your everyday Joe Blow, doing this is a huge step to understanding your own finances and getting a grip and control over them. You need to sit down, open up your online banking or wherever your money goes in and out, or more professionally look at your income and your expenses. Study this, sit down, grab a coffee and really grit out your finances. Ask yourself, where is your money going? Where is your money coming in? Pull out a notepad and calculate your average amount of income and expenses per week or month. And if you have more money going out than in, we're going to have a huge problem. For anyone to go out and achieve financial freedom, you first need to get yourself into a position where you have more money coming in than going out. Now, to achieve this, you can do one of two things, or even both would be ideal, but that is to increase your income or minimize your expenses. The easiest thing you can do right away is to just stare at those expenses in front of you. Ask yourself, how many of those things you're looking at could you live without? How many of those things have you bought that you've actually used? Or have you actually gained value from these things that you've been buying? The best way to bridge the gap between income and expenses is to just drive those expenses down to the ground. Don't use that weekly gym membership? Get rid of it. Subscribe to Netflix, Stan, Amazon Prime and Disney Plus? Don't even get me started. Paying for Xbox Live or a PSN subscription that you don't use? Get rid of it. You get the point. If you can start eliminating these things, then you're on your way to getting a hold of your finances. Start asking questions when you buy non-essential items like, do I need this? Will it give me any value or is it going to sit on a shelf just collecting dust? Another trick people use is to compare what they buy to the amount of hours that they will have to work for it. Prepare to be scared. Example is, let's say you work a job paying you $15 an hour. Lunchtime comes and you go out and buy lunch for $30. That grass-fed beef hamburger with chips and salad has cost you 2 hours of work. That means during your normal, let's say 8-hour day, you work 2 hours of that just to feed yourself an overpriced hamburger. Instead, you could have brought your own lunch from home, which would have cost much less. Or say you wanted to buy a pair of new shoes that cost $150. Those shoes are then technically worth 10 hours of your time. Were they worth it? It's up to you to really decide. It's simple things like this which will help you get your head around, should I really be buying this? Is it worth it? This helps mentally to minimize your expenses as you're becoming aware of the effort you made to earn that money and then where it ends up going. A great way to plan out and get a hold of your expenses is by forming a budget. Now, most of you, that just went through one ear and out the other. But listen, even if you set, say, some certain guidelines and follow that opposed to a strict budget, you'll be better off. For example, set a limit and say, I'll only spend $100 a week on gadgets or toys. So now the next step was understanding and learning about the financial world. So just quickly, by clicking on and watching this video and getting to this point of the video, I can already tell you have a higher chance of achieving financial freedom opposed to the rest of the people walking the earth. You need to use your passion and want for financial freedom to fuel your education. To help you understand the world of finance, you need to read as many books as you can on the world of money. And for you book haters, that's okay. You can use audiobooks or watch the millions of videos on YouTube teaching you about the crazy untaught world of finance. That is a blessing but a curse of the finance world. It is your responsibility to teach yourself. And if you are able to, then literally the world is at your hands. So once you have this down pat and understand some of the basics of the money world, it is then time to start the fun stuff. The last step is to invest. Now hopefully, by this stage you're able to bridge that gap and your income is much more than your expenses. So now at the end of every week or month, you have leftover money just sitting in your hands. And for some of you, this is something that you've never experienced before. But now is not the time to call it a day. Now is the time to turn that money into more money, and that more money into financial freedom. You have gained discipline already from the start of this video to be able to demolish your expenses. Now you need to discipline yourself to invest whatever leftover money you have. And coupled with the knowledge you have about the world of money, it's time to pour your money into a wealth creator. Now I'm no expert or guru, and you should never base your investments off what I say. However, historically and factually speaking, the best two investment vehicles are the share market and real estate. To what you invest in is completely up to you, but if done right, these investment vehicles will multiply your money. I won't go into detail in this video on how these investment vehicles make their money, but I'll leave that for another video. But the idea is compound interest will play into it. Your investments will hopefully make you money, and then you reinvest that money as well as investing more of your leftover money into this money vehicle. And as you can imagine, your returns will just get greater and greater and greater until eventually you've reached your end goal of financial freedom. And the best thing is, once you've done all the hard work and you've got the ball rolling, seeing your money grow is one of the most fulfilling things you will ever experience. Now, how much do I need to invest, you may ask? Well, I'm so happy that you did. So now let's throw some numbers around using the conservative 4% rule to decide how much money you need to live, let's say financially stress-free. So the 4% rule basically says if you have a lump sum of money invested, you'll be able to take 4% out a year and not experience a decrease in your investment. That's saying, let's say if you have $250,000 invested, that means you have the ability to take out or use $10,000 a year comfortably for the rest of your life, which is not bad at all. Or let's just say you have $1 million invested. You could take out comfortably $40,000 a year. So say if you have calculated your yearly expenses and they equate to about $40,000 a year, it means if you could build up an investment portfolio worth $1 million, you could live financially free and never have to work a job you dislike ever again. You no longer will be afraid of that bloody alarm clock. To achieve your particular financial freedom goal, you need to calculate how much money you want your investments to make you each year. Then simply times that number by 25 and that new number becomes your goal to have saved up and invested in order to achieve your financial freedom. And this is how financial freedom works. Remember I said that it wasn't going to be easy though? It's all well and good to say, okay, I'll limit my expenses, invest the leftovers, be disciplined and do this for as long as it takes. This is the issue though. People think that they will be able to achieve financial freedom overnight, and that is not the case. The key to achieving your level of financial freedom will come down to your discipline and your motivation to do so. You need to be able to not just limit your spending for a year and then fall back into the deep pit of splurging on grass-fed beef burgers. You need to maintain your discipline right throughout the journey. And you need to learn the ability to delay your gratification, which means you will have to sacrifice now for the big future. The length of your financial freedom journey all depends on how fast you can save up and invest that desired amount. And with that, we'll wrap up the video here. But remember guys, if you want to learn more about financial freedom, increase your financial literacy, or help to understand the world of money, make sure you're subscribed to the Money Playbook and smash that like button. And remember guys, if you are not growing, you're dying.